So, what do you have to do? You got a plan. A failure to plan is a plan to fail. So, let's make a plan to succeed. Planning is a part of a business operation. So, planning is a process that never ends. It's not something you just do one time and, just hope it goes well. It's an ongoing document. A preliminary business plan, which is finalized over time. So, what you're doing in this course is producing what we would call a preliminary business plan. Now, it needs to be thorough. But keep in mind, it's something that you update over time and change as your business changes. There are many different types of plans, which all contribute to the business operation. There's financial plans, marketing plans, human resource plans, production plans, and sales plans. So these plans can be short-term or long-term. They can be strategic or operational. I really feel like that should be strategic and operational. All plans have one purpose: to provide guidance and structure to management in a rapidly changing market environment. Now, when you finish your business plan in this course, it is like a static situation. It's something that's a snapshot in time. Keep in mind the market's very dynamic. Things change day by day, so a plan has to be updated over time. So what is the business plan? A business plan is a written document describing all the relevant external and internal elements in starting a new venture. It's often an integration of your functional plans for startups that addresses short and long-term decisions for the first 3 years of the operation. That's why it's thorough. The plan is like a roadmap of business development and external factors. External factors are uncontrollable, so you can get caught up in playing the what-if game. Yeah, just try to plan for what you think is most likely to happen. But you could end up planning for the rest of your life if you don't actually put some action behind it. You don't know how it's going to roll out. So this is kind of like an overarching structure where things coming into and off of it can change over time. So there's some control over manufacturing, marketing, and personnel. That's your plan. When preparing the plan, the entrepreneur can determine how much money is needed to achieve the plan. So who should write the plan? Well, an entrepreneur should write a business plan, but they may consult many sources. Lawyers, accountants, marketing consultants, and engineers, depending on your product or service, are useful. The Small Business Association, the SCORE, SBDCs, universities, friends, so like our faculty, some friends that you're going into business with, or people who have been there, or relatives, are sources of information. The entrepreneur could hire or offer equity to others with expertise. I'm going to let you guys read a little bit about that. And the entrepreneur should assess their own skills to help determine if they need to hire a consultant. So what are you good at? What are you not good at? A lot of people are like, I really don't want to spend money on a lawyer or an accountant. Man, they're worth every penny. Make sure you get a good one who works with small business owners, and they can really save you from some obvious mistakes. Assess your own skills. This assessment identifies what skills are needed and how to obtain them. So you need to say, hey, we're really good at this, but we're not great at this. How do we adjust our plan to address this weakness? So what's the scope and the value of a business plan? Before preparing your business plan, a quick feasibility study determines any possible barriers to success. For example, clearly define the venture's goals and objectives. If the goals and objectives are too general or not feasible, the business plan will be difficult to control and implement. Well-defined goals and objectives are important given the impact of technology on the venture. Once this foundation is in place, you can establish strategic decisions. It's kind of like going to war. You got to figure out what resources you have and how you can fight the fight, and then where your opponent may attack you, and your opponent is failure. Just remember, in entrepreneurship, the only failure is the failure to learn. But you can go in, do an assessment of what you have and what you don't have. Tell me how you're going to take advantage of what you do have, and tell me how you're going to shore up what you do not have. So, you have market information needs. The first step is to define the market, making it easier to project market size and subsequent market goals. Evaluate your general environment and demographic trends, then assess trends in the industry from a national perspective. Next, look at your local environmental and demographic trends. Then specifically look at local industry trends. Finally, assess the strengths and weaknesses of all your competitors. So you had to do some introspective. Now it's time to look at your competitors and see where they have strengths and weaknesses, and how you might take advantage of that or avoid their strengths, that type of thing. Cumulatively, this assessment leads to market positioning and market objectives. Here's the thing. Each of you needs to have one customer. Now, of course, you need more than one customer, but you need to tell me about who your ideal customer is. And I want you to name them. Are they male or are they female? How old are they? What's their life situation? And saying, hey, for my product or service, here's my end user, my ideal end user. Now, that can change over time. Everything in a business plan can change over time. However, if you decide that your ideal end users are males between the age of 35 and 50 that have a job, 2 kids, a wife, and they need my product or service to do X, Y, Z. And then I want you to name that male. Let's say his name's Mark. And then I want you to tell me how to market to Mark. And then I want you to tell me what price point Mark wants. So, I mean, get it down to a point. Of course you want to say, hey, we want millions of customers. No. I want to tell me about one. Who's your ideal? Tell me who your ideal customer is. Name them. And tell me everything about them and how you're going to get their attention. Okay? It's just a pro tip there. Operations information needs, everything in ops, like, hey, where are you located? How can people get to you? What basic machinery do you need? What raw materials do you need? Who are your suppliers? What are your costs? Equipment that you need, its costs, whether it's leased or owned, labor skills, personnel needed, total amount of space needed. Are you leasing it? Are you owning it? What's your overhead? What are you paying in power? What are you paying in internet service? What are you paying in everything? Technology needed. Each item may require some research. I want each item to have some research. You guys are in teams now. This thing should be thorough. Remember, it's your ops for the first 3 years of the business. Next, financial information needs. This is where people cringe because it's usually their weak spot. The entrepreneur should prepare a budget for the first year before completing the financial section of the business plan. And I mean a thorough budget. I don't mean, we think we're going to have this money coming in and we're going to have these 3 expenses. That's crap. Don't do that. Okay? Think of me as like a bank you're going to or a venture capitalist you're going to ask for money. They're going to want to see everything. So you need to be thorough here. This is usually the most challenging part of a business plan. However, the people who get A's spend time on this. All right? You want an A in this class, you're going to spend time on your financial information. Include capital expenditures, operating expense, and cash expenditures. Forecast revenues from sales using market data. A lot of people just say, we think we're going to sell about $1 million. You don't get to just say that. Why are you going to be able to sell $1 million? Give me the data. How many marks are there for using our previous example of a target customer in your particular market? If there's 300 and you're saying you got 300,000, then I'm going to call you out on it and give you a D. Identify the industry benchmarks to prepare pro forma statements. Let you read about that. There's some examples in the textbook for that. Use the internet as a resource tool at very low cost. It's wonderful. The internet's out there. Also, the plagiarism checkers out there too, so just keep that in mind. Believe it or not, I've had people try to do that at this level and it doesn't end well for them. But use the internet as a resource, man. It's out there. It's wonderful what you have at the palm of your hands. The internet also provides opportunity for e-sales, so how would you set that up? Assess competitors' websites and social media feeds. You can sit back and do SWOT analysis on them as well. So then you get down to writing the business plan. The plan should be comprehensive enough for an investor, pretend that's me, has a complete understanding of the venture. The business plan may take hundreds of hours to prepare. Aren't you glad you're in a team? The title or cover page provides a brief summary and should include the following. You should also write this dead last. The company's name and address, name of the entrepreneurs, phone and fax numbers, email and website. How can I get a hold of you if I want to write you a big old check for your venture? A paragraph describing the company and the nature of the business. People want to write that first. Write that dead last. You don't know what your business is until you've written the whole plan. This should be written dead last. The amount of finance needing. What are you asking me for? That should be right there in the first paragraph. And a statement of confidentiality. You can find examples of those both in the book and online. Executive summary. Again, write this dead last. This section should be prepared after the total plan is written. It should be 2 to 3 pages in length. Now keep in mind that's separate from this paragraph describing and asking, what amounts needed. Paragraph, 3-4 sentences. Not 3 or 4 paragraphs, paragraph. That's on the cover page, okay? Executive summary then is 2 to 3 pages in length and highlight key points. Addresses questions include what's the business model concept or model? How does the business concept or model unique? Who are the individuals starting this business? And how will they make money and how much? If an IPO is expected, include an exit strategy. So if you're doing a stock offering, initial public offering, what's your end game? I just want my stock to be very valuable and to make money off of it. Duh, but tell me more specifically. This section should provide the motivation to read the entire plan. What you have to do is kind of like bait on a hook. Your executive summary, again, written last, with the title page written last. This needs to reel people in. And if it's boring, if it's dry, and if it's not to the point, and it's not like, wow, this is really good, then people are just going to throw your plan in the trash. I mean, I hate to be correct, like just dismissive of it, but that's what's going to happen. So you got to make sure it's kind of pitchy and no fluff, right to the point. Okay, because I can tell you how this works in the real world for like a venture capitalist or a bank. They read that first paragraph on your here. Okay, so they read this first paragraph right here, and if they like that, they read a skim this, and if they like that, they jump straight to your financials. Oops, I jumped the wrong way. Pardon me. They jump straight back up to your financials, which we talked about before. Now, in terms of structure, after the executive summary, you have your first section that you wrote in chronological order, or at least as in teams you split up in chronological order. So this is what I want to see. I want to see a title page, executive summary, and then we're going to start breaking out into the different parts of the actual business plan. Now, what I want you to do is, this is a presentation from the publisher. I want you to compare this. These are different parts. I may actually ask for a slightly different order in my instructions to you. So make sure you're reading that and turning in what the class is asking you to do. But one of the parts of the business plan, regardless of order, is the environmental and industrial analysis. So this is not environmental in terms of the environment. It is the environmental in terms of what market do you operate in. The environmental analysis identifies national and international trends within your industry. The environmental factors include the economy, culture, technology, and legal concerns, all generally uncontrollable. Are you trying to open a business in a country that has relatively poor property rights? And if so, how do you overcome that? Most of you will be doing domestic businesses, so you generally are protected by the U.S. courts. Do you need trademarks, copyrights, patents, that type of thing? An industry analysis focuses on specific industry trends such as industry demand and competition. A lot of things going on in different industries. You need to know what your industry is, and then tell me about it, all your competitors, what's the trends, that type of thing. The last part of the section should focus specifically on the specific market. Include who the customer is and what the business environment is, and this information is significant for as you prepare your marketing plan. So you need to gather the environment, and you can't just say, hey, we're going to market it this way. We're going to put flyers on car hoods, and you're like dealing with people who don't have cars. So make sure you're putting these things together as you divvy up things. Description of the venture and production plan. The description of the venture should begin with the mission statement and should include key elements of the venture. Location is a function of the type of business and maps that may be helpful. If a new venture is a manufacturer, a production plan is necessary. It should describe the entire manufacturing process, A to Z. Whether there is any subcontracting, who's going to take care of things. Describe the physical layout of your plant, your machinery, your equipment needed, raw materials, suppliers' names, cost of manufacturing, any future capital needs, and eliminate this section if there's no manufacturing. Obviously, it wouldn't make very much sense if it's not actually manufacturing. So your operations plan and marketing plan, all businesses should include an operations plan that describes how the flow of goods and services from production to customer, include the steps of completing a business transaction. Word of warning here, if you find yourself, hey, I don't need this, our business doesn't involve an operation, you're trying to cut corners and it's not going to end well for you. Every business, whether it's a product or service, has an operations plan. They just need to write it down. The marketing plan describes how the products will be distributed, priced, and promoted. Describe the marketing research evidence to support critical marketing decision strategy. So why are you marketing your way? Support it with significant evidence. Potential investors regard the marketing plan as critical to success because it's how you tell your potential customer, your mark, if you will, how to get your product and service and why they should get it and how to get it. This is an annual requirement for short-term decision-making because marketing plans change as the environment and market changes. Organization plan, assessment of risk. The organization plan describes the venture's form of ownership. A partnership should include terms for the partnership. How does someone get into the partnership? More importantly, how does someone exit the partnership? That's usually the biggest mistake businesses make when they have partners. They think everything's going to be hunky-dory, and it's not. People move. People have life changes. People have fights and don't want to be partners with you anymore. You got to figure out how to get in and out of these contractual agreements in a manner that does not involve expensive trips to court. A corporation should include the number of shares authorized, share options, the name and addresses of the directors and officers. A lot of research has to go into that. Most start out as an LLC, whether the partnerships are sole proprietors, that type of thing. You guys, by definition, are in a partnership because you're in groups. Provide an organization chart which shows investors who controls the organization, how members interact. Make sure if you're doing a corporation, your organization chart looks one way. If you're doing a partnership, it looks a different way, because not all organization charts are the same depending on how you organize your business. I'll let you read about that. It is important to the entrepreneur to make an assessment of risks, indicate the potential risks of any new venture, discuss what might happen if these risks become reality, discuss the strategy to prevent, minimize, and respond to risks. Financial plan, again, this is the challenge, but this is where you take yourself from B- to A+. The financial plan determines the investment needed and indicated feasibility. So, again, pretend like you're coming to me for money. Convince me. 3 financial areas are discussed. Summarize the forecasted sales and expenses for the first 3 years. This isn't very topical. If you find yourself using one table here, it's not going to end well for you. Cash flow, so important. Most important thing for a business is cash flow. You're going to have some debt up front. How do you pay your people? How do you make it operate? On a monthly basis through the first year. A projected balance sheet shows financial condition at a specific time. You guys are at graduate school. I'm assuming you've had accounting, or at least somebody in your group has. I want to see a nice balance sheet, a good cash flow, and some summarized sales that looks like a professional did it. The appendix contains any backup material not included in the document but referenced in this document. So this might include letters from customers, distributors, subcontractors, secondary or primary research data, leases, contracts, and other agreements, price lists from suppliers and competitors, etc. So when you say, hey, we researched this and here's our answer, I want to be able to flip to the back and look at the appendix and find the research. Not that, hey, we researched this. You wanted to say, hey, as a reference in Appendix C, here's the data we found on pricing. So who reads the plan? The business plan may be read by employees, investors, bankers, venture capitalists, suppliers, customers, advisors, and consultants. Each group reads the plan for different purposes. Who is expected to read the plan affects actual content and focus. What I want you guys to do is build this thing like I'm a bank or I'm a venture capitalist that you're asking money for. I want to know what you're going to do, what's the business going to be like, why do you need me, how much do you need from me, and what is my chances of getting my money back. Consider the perspective of the entrepreneur, the customer, and the investor. The business plan is valuable to the entrepreneur and the investors. The investors to make an assessment of whether or not they should invest in you, and the entrepreneur to critically think through the operations of their business. It helps determine market viability of the new venture. It guides the entrepreneur in planning activities. It is an important tool for obtaining financing, and it provides self-assessment of the entrepreneur. So how do lenders and investors evaluate the plan? Potential suppliers of capital will vary in their needs and requirements of a business plan. Some of them have specific needs, and so you need to make sure that there's something you don't need to add or take away. Lenders are interested in the ability to pay back the debt and the interest. Bankers want objective analysis and all risks involved. Lenders rather focus on the 4 C's of credit: credit history, cash flow, collateral, and equity contributions. So how does your business grow financially over time? Investors place more emphasis on the entrepreneur's character. Like, can they bet on this person, basically? Venture capitalists want compliant entrepreneurs, people who realize, hey, you're playing with my money. I want you to do it my way. Investors focus on the market and financial projections. What's the long-term? They basically view you as a stock. So what's your long-term potential? Presenting the plan. Often universities and local sponsored business meetings offer an opportunity for entrepreneurs to present their plan. Sometimes this can be a competition. Entrepreneurs expect to, quote unquote, sell their business concept. An elevator pitch is prepared to elicit interest from potential investors. The audiences include investors who may ask questions regarding strategies conveyed in the presentation. Using and implementing a business plan. This plan is designed to guide the business through the first year and should contain control points to ascertain progress. When measuring plan progress, check plan projections in key areas frequently, i.e. update it. Control inventory to ensure maximum service to the customer. If you take care of your customer, they will take care of you, as long as you're giving them something that solves a problem. If you're creating value creation, right? They will keep coming back. Production controls, compare cost figures against operating costs. Make sure everything jives. I know when teams, you're typically splitting this type of stuff up. Just make sure it all makes sense when put together. Quality control depends on the production system used. Sales controls is information units, dollars, products sold. That all needs to make sense. Control disbursements, as well as on the website and social media control. A lot of things people put in if you've had a social media marketing class, a lot of people love to put in the appendix, hey, here's what our website would look like. Dream that up. You can make it into a PDF, stick it in there. or as pictures in a Word document. Hey, this is what we'd like our app to look like. Hey, this is what our website would look like. That would be pretty cool. Update the plan when the environment changes, the direction of the plan. That happened a lot during the pandemic. Businesses had to change, or they did not make it. And unfortunately, a lot of them didn't change and did not make it. Contingency planning, speaking of, be prepared for sudden changes or disasters. The process will vary by nature of the business, but include any factors that can affect your venture. Identify roles and duties of personnel. Use trainings, walkthroughs. Understand the goals of contingency planning. Use step-by-step plan, not generalized, to be clear on weaknesses. Detail who should be contacted and how in the event of a disaster. Backup databases using the cloud or some other system. Identify who is the contact, the media in the event of crisis, that type of thing. So could be something as simple as, hey, we have snow and ice. How do people get our product or service now with the inability to travel? Or, hey, we have a worldwide pandemic. How do we adjust for that? So why do some businesses fail? Well, a poorly prepared business plan may have the following factors. Goals that are unreasonable, objectives that are not measurable, the entrepreneur is not fully committed or has no experience, they don't address their weaknesses. Entrepreneur has no sense of potential threats or weaknesses, like I said. No customer needs the established product. That's the worst one, right? No one wants your product. Objectives should be specific, measurable, and monitored. The entrepreneur and their family should be committed. It takes time, man. It's entrepreneurship in many ways creates freedom, but it also creates burdens. You're going to put in way more time than you would than if you're just clocking in and clocking out. You need to gain the needed knowledge and team up with someone who has it. Gain it or find someone who has it. So if you're like awful at financials, you need to have a partner that's really good at it. Document customer needs before preparing this plan. That's big. I've seen so many wonderful business plans with one problem. Nobody wanted their product or service. So make sure you start there. All right. From opportunity to business plan, chapter 7. See you next time.